So we use data max of its extent. So we'll use data to personalize outreach in all kinds of different ways. So we can infuse this method of outreach into things like realtors are a great example. So taking street data of people's homes and then commenting on their home. Hey, would you like to sell your 2-story split level house in Connecticut? I really like the yellow on the exterior. It's like, wow, that really feels like you know me.
Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner. So we have Michael Cofone, co-founder of Sherlock and business development expert who's driven over $4 million in revenue through data-driven lead generation and sales automation, a very complex business. With over a decade of experience, Michael helps companies scale smarter and faster. But the reason I've got Michael on this call is not just because of his fantastic platform, Sherlock. It is also because he's got a very interesting backstory. So, Michael, we're going to talk about that, but welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk and tell people about what I do.
Yeah, great. Well, we have lots of dog fans on the show, so please don't worry about the hound attacking things or licking you while we are doing the show. So first of all, I wanted to say I really love your website. So the Sherlock website looks really nice. It explains quite nicely what you do. But maybe explain a little bit about what Sherlock does.
Definitely. I'm glad you like the design. Willem, the other co-founder, spent about 3 weeks building it, and we actually have a new site coming out soon that's going to be even better.
3 weeks. You should say 6 months. You can't say 3 weeks.
Well, I think that's the most surprising part is how quick he came up with the whole thing. I mean, it's like, it blows my mind. But the software behind it did take quite some time to develop. So we built a tool that helps sales and marketing teams identify their key audiences. Similar to, there's some other tools people are probably familiar with, Apollo, ZoomInfo. You can go ahead, query those audiences, save them, and then you can go ahead and reach out to them. And that's where the fun begins. So on the outreach side, we personalize messaging. And we're currently going through a very fun sort of a business pivot into a hybrid software and services model. So we now help take the artificial intelligence elements that we've been working on for now years. We actually predate ChatGPT. We migrated to their models. So we predate ChatGPT, which is pretty cool. And we help companies to utilize artificial intelligence to scale and grow their companies.
And you do this mainly through email and specifically through using a lot of data from LinkedIn, right?
We do, and this is where my curveball comes in. So I'm sure you'll have some curves for me, but my first curveball is we no longer endorse email at all. So we're an email company, and we tell people do not use email. So there's a fun cat and mouse game we've been playing for some years, and Google and Outlook and all these fun companies have won. So they've infused artificial intelligence in their inboxes to keep people like us out. So now we're getting quite clever, and we're using direct mail, LinkedIn outreach, and some other things, and branching into content, which is why I'm here to learn the fun world of podcasting.
So I'm a great proponent of LinkedIn. The only challenge is that you do get a lot of trash, like people saying happy birthday and congratulations on your new job, which I really hate. It's very nice that people are, but it's not Facebook. Please, it has to be something useful and relevant. How do you make sure that the content that you are sending on LinkedIn is useful and relevant and not happy birthday and, happy birthday?
So there's some really fun new technologies. There's some complexity to these as well, like vector databasing. We can take data points from all over the internet. So we can see, Nicholas has a podcast here, and the last guest was this, and 6 months ago, this was the largest show and had this many views. We can look at all kinds of news, including your birthday. So, maybe on your birthday, you get a nice note congratulating you for the success on your show. Oh, I've watched this episode from 3 months ago. I saw how many views you had. It was so incredible. And it feels a lot more engaging than, hey, happy birthday. It's an automated message. You click one button, right? And so that's where we improve engagement. And downstream, we also improve conversion rates because you're more likely to convert a lead who feels as though you're authentic in your approach rather than sending scaled high volume outreach. People don't take well to that.
And especially since it sounds like it is personalized. And I take it the personalization of these messages, and you're talking about, what is it, vector?
Vector databasing is very fun.
Vector
You can
databasing.
store a
That's a new part of it. I also predate ChatGPT. I was also working in data science before before ChatGPT. But that basically means you're taking information from social media, from Google. You're almost like a perplexity.com, but
Yes.
for outreach emails.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So we use data to the max of its extent. So we'll use data to personalize outreach in all kinds of different ways. So we can infuse this method of outreach into things like realtors are a great example. So taking street data of people's homes and then commenting on their home. Hey, would you like to sell your 2-story split-level house in Connecticut? I really like the yellow on the exterior. It's like, wow, that really feels like you know me, rather than, hey, would you like to sell your home? I'll give you the highest number for it. And everybody knows that you won't, right? So it's a little bit of a kind of a joke. Like, you're saying you will, but everyone knows you won't. So.
Well, you mentioned realtors. Let's talk about who is the ideal client for Sherlock. So who are the folks, if you have a magic wand, because all of us obviously want to get the right customers because we know what our service can solve the best. Who are the target segments that would get the best value out of Sherlock?
We love to work with companies that are interested in data, that have some form of a strategy around their data. So that could mean we have a CRM and we keep it up to date. And we have a data warehouse. We're storing data for internal purposes. We have a data strategy, some form of it. It doesn't have to be really robust. It's just you have to have some kind of a thought that data makes sense. A lot of companies, they do not care about data. They're not interested in data. They don't want to deal with their data. That's okay. I totally understand. I think that is changing. Fewer companies today take that approach. Most of the people we interact with will appreciate a data-driven approach to their sales and marketing. So as long as the stakeholders on the team buy into the idea that data is really important, we can take that concept, build on it, and expand. So the companies we tend to work with are anywhere from mid-sized to pretty large businesses. So we've worked with Toyota. Grok is one, if you're in the AI space. So they're HubSpot. If you ever happen to be in the back end of their HubSpot account, you'll see my name in there. We helped them set it up, which is quite cool. They just raised $640 million, so we'll plug that in there because we really like them. They're a great team. And we also work with a lot of agencies. So a lot of what we do actually is we come in and people have no idea we're even there. So who knows? You may be a business out there that's actually worked with us and you have no idea because your marketing firm pulled us in. So we do a ton with other marketing firms.
So you talk about direct mail. Is that still a thing?
It's growing. We believe heavily in direct mail. We believe heavily in in-person events. So this is another fun thing that we do is how do you take artificial intelligence and bring it into the real world? Well, we can create little sort of flyers, and the flyers will talk to specific people we know are coming to an event. So if you go to an event like Dreamforce, Salesforce's big event, you know ahead of time who the sponsors are. So we can go ahead and create pamphlets for those companies. Oh, Salesforce is going to be here. Let's create some flyers for every account executive who's going to be at Dreamforce. And, you can make a bunch of these for them specific, and you can do this for all 100 companies that will be there, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance. You show up, and now when those people come to your booth, you have a flyer in your hand with their company logo. It talks about them, talks about their sales challenges, or maybe you're selling a tax solution. What's the problem with the taxes at Salesforce, and hand those out, and it's really specific. We love direct mail as a channel because you don't get blocked by providers like Google or Outlook. So we can get right to the decision maker's door. I mean, we do manual research, data scraping. We have developers on our team. That's kind of the fun. Is half of our team are senior software engineers. So we go in and we can pull this data, organize it, and then utilize it to build audiences, send mail. We know their address, so we can send all kinds of fun content right to their door.
So what you're saying is that in the AI SaaS business, but you have to now learn how to stick stamps on a envelope. So you are going back to what my age group and earlier was doing. And I love that you talk about bringing AI to reality or bringing AI into real life, because that's really the missing link. We've got tons of folks who are getting millions of views on TikTok and tons of views, but can't make one brass penny or red cent, as you Americans would say.
Yes, that is absolutely right. I actually have boxes of different products and things in my garage because I'm the fulfillment center for some of the campaigns we do. So I'm actually, me and my girlfriend, she's wonderful. We get in there and we pack boxes on the weekends. And my co-founder Willem is also in Austin, so he joins in on the fun when we have a lot to handle. We're running a really cool campaign right now for Hang.com, sending these boxes to fast service restaurants. So they'll, there's a contingent of chefs and decision makers at these restaurants that are going to be getting a book, an apron, and a little sheet about their business. It's a really cool company. So we do plug all of our clients. You'll see me talking about them. We love our clients, and they're the best case studies. So I've got these all kinds of stuff that I'm packing for them and we're sending. It's pretty fun. And then we use obviously our technology to carry this out. So it's kind of a hybrid. I think the future of SaaS is a services and SaaS model. So we're building more tools. We have 2 new tools that we're going to be releasing. We've got more tactics and campaigns that we're going to be carrying out. So all kinds of fun stuff.
So I am going to introduce you to a company that you're going to love, and it's going to tie perfectly into what you do. They have hundreds of robots that handwrite direct mail letters. And you're going to love this guy. And it will tie in so beautifully.
I wonder if I know him, because we actually use that as a tactic.
Well, okay. We'll chat after the show about that. The name has escaped me right now. But I can see now why you went through a rebrand from, what was it called? Scale Mail to Sherlock. So talk to me about that process, because this pivoting is interesting. And obviously AI has kicked a whole bunch of guys in the butt. Talk to me about the process of rebranding, because I'm a branding guy, so I love branding and logos and things like that. So talk to me about and your experience, and I can just give a bit of background quickly. You did a degree in history of art, or art, not art, sorry. You did a degree in history. Now you are licking stamps and you are working in AI. We'll get into your background now. Let's talk about the rebrand of Scale to Sherlock and how that process was from you, from learning how colors and tone of voice and things like that.
Yeah, it's a really fun one. So we're big into branding. We're definitely branding people. The outreach, the tactics, they are derived from your strategy. And in the strategy is really heavy branding, right? So a lot of clients that we interact with, they come to us because they're interested in these really fun, unique ways to reach customers. And the first things we do are actually we start with the website. Like simple stuff like, let's build a brand book. Let's talk about what it means for your company to exist. Like, what is the message behind what you're selling? Because I could go tell 100 million people about you, but if there's no message, well, it's going to fall on flat ears. So we actually do a lot of branding help as well. So our rebrand, we're coming from Scale Mail, and we're popular under that name. It's really catchy. And actually what really started the rebrand, if we really go back, there's this guy somewhere in Philadelphia who tried to copyright us. He said, no, wait, I own that name. You can't use it. He doesn't really have a legal claim, but we were like, that's kind of interesting. Maybe we should think about our branding, because we're already moving away from email. And my co-founder, Willem, is British. I went to school in England. I did my undergrad there. So, we've an affinity for England, and Sherlock is also a pretty sensible name for us because we like to go and search for the opportunities that are hard to find. So it really represents us well. The new website, we'll talk a lot about that. I won't spoil it. I actually haven't even seen it. So that's kind of a funny thing when we talk branding. It's like Willem is totally in charge of this. And I let him. He's a designer by trade. He's an expert designer. When he was in high school, he actually has no degree. So he did not go to college, does not have an undergrad. He went straight into technical work. And we met years ago. We've been working together for 5 years now. But he was in high school and he would not do his homework. He would get like very poor grades, wasn't top of the class, very low, because he would do design projects and he would get these projects and he was making tons of money, astronomical amounts of money. He's done band cover art. He's done all kinds of things. So he is really the artist, the designer, the brand guy. He has a vision for the brand. And I'm not allowed to look at anything until it's done. And then when it's done, it's perfect. And I never have any comments. It's like incredible.
So I want to ask you about the brand, because you've been going for 10 years and you've now rebranded yours to Sherlock. Why are you not focusing more on your personal brands? Because since you're going more into a space where you are trying to bring AI into reality, creating a brand from scratch like a Google or things like that, it's almost impossible. So I see you on a podcast. Why are there no photos of you and your team? And why are you not personalizing the AI side more? I think that's something that you are absolutely missing from your offering.
Oh, it's on.
The reason I say that is, and I want you to go into a little bit about your background, being a coach at both Princeton and Oxford, and being part of the Olympic rowing team.
Yes. So I have quite a background. I think there's a lot of like little interesting tidbits and pieces, and we're working on this. So right now I'm going through my phone. I just had my old computer refurbished so I could pull out the photos from when I was in school. So there's so many, I have like 20,000 different photos and things that I have to go through, and we're putting them into a document and they're becoming posts. I have one we were just editing earlier about Formula One and some events here in Austin. So we're going to be actually doing that. We agree strongly that personal brands are important. It's our view that personal brands receive more attention online than company brands. So our advice to anybody who's thinking about going into branding and how to approach branding from a company and a personal perspective is the personal brand leads the charge. So you post on your personal, and then behind the scenes, your company basically starts to repost your content, right? Because that's the content I think that people are interested in, is they want to hear from experts in the space. They don't want to hear from a company feels disingenuous. There's always a sales motive behind it. One of our success stories is Kyle Christensen from Swift Insights. So we work very closely with Swift Insights. They're a data company and they do data services. They're fantastic and they've worked with all kinds of Fortune 500 businesses. They're just wonderful. His personal brand has exploded. So it's gone in the last year from no impressions to 250,000 impressions every single month. And that's on LinkedIn alone. So one single place talking about things within the sphere of influence that he's in, and very successful. So I think that personal brands are very important.
Let's talk a little bit about your background and how this has helped you being an entrepreneur. Because I've hired a lot of high performance guys. I've deliberately, when a CV comes across my desk, and I've worked at companies like MTV and big data science companies. One of the folks that we employed was somebody who was the captain of a national team. And the reason I chose him over everyone else is because I know this guy's going to put in the hours. He's going to try hard. He's going to be a team player. Talk to me about why you aren't working at BCG or McKinsey or one of other companies, and why you decided to go the startup route. And perhaps how your training as an Olympic rower has helped you in this tough world of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I love to tell stories. So, it's kind of fun. I got into rowing because I wanted to have a varsity jacket. So I don't know, where your listener's base is, but in the US, it's this really silly looking coat that you wear for about 4 years when you're in high school. And then after that, it sits in your closet forever. And it just that's it. So I really wanted one. I thought it was really cool. So what I did is I went and I tried out for all the teams. And the only one that took me was the rowing team. And they took me after they cut me from the team. So actually, originally, I didn't make the team at all. But there needs to be 8 people in a boat. So 2 of the guys that they had picked to join the team when you tried out decided they wanted to play basketball or one of the other sports that they made the team for. So they called me up and said, hey, do you want to be on the team? We need some people. You were interested. I said, yeah, sure. Let me join. So then I grew. and wound up being one of the more competitive guys on the team. So it kind of worked out in my favor there. And that kind of led me to go to college abroad. I studied in England, had a blast there. It was a very competitive team. I don't know for sure, but I think now all of the universities in England, they produce the most Olympic athletes of any school in England.
Oxford, and I hear Cambridge is the best. Yeah,
of course. Yeah. They're quite good, So here's a funny thing, right? There's a few different schools in Oxford. There's the University of Oxford, and then there's Oxford Brookes. They're two different schools. I went to Oxford Brookes, which is basically they're the same thing. Here's the trick. There's this other school that they separate so that all the athletes can get in, and then they can get you in and on the and there's two different teams, and the teams have their training facilities next door to each other, and then you just train together the whole time. So the whole thing is really, it's a ruse to get people in and move them through the program. You see a lot of guys who are Olympic athletes go on to do these one-year master's programs. They get paid to go to the school. There's no NCAA, so there's no rules. They can recruit anyone. They can pay you to join the team. Super competitive environment. It's like nothing I've really experienced ever since. We bring that to our business. Our business has the same sort of philosophies. And it was, while I was there, I was considering, what am I going to do after this? My only skill is moving a boat really quick, which doesn't translate to a whole lot. So I thought, maybe I'll go be a lawyer, like history. I can go study law, exploring that. I got introduced to one of my friends actually introduced me to his brother who'd started a company, raised some money. I joined his startup, wound up earning equity. I sold my position in the business, Lugaroo Logistics. I was part of the business. I left. I shouldn't have. It's so successful. It's wildly successful. They've just totally ruled the West Coast in the distribution market. They're a wonderful company with the same model. It's software and services. So I've taken that, I adopted it myself, and started my business with artificial intelligence. And myself and my co-founder, Willem, we both met while I was actually at the other startup. So we decided to start our business together.
Well, I do like a good ruse. So that's a very interesting story. And because it was going to go into my next question about, how do you go from history to data science? And are there any similarities between your Bachelor of Arts, your history degree, and looking at data?
None, I would say. Pretty close to zero.
What?
I'd love to tell you there's more to history, but I think really what's interesting about studying and going to different schools and being in these different academic environments, it's really more the students than it is the teachers or the curriculum. So I found much more value in my peer group. So people who are very competitive, right? Being on the rowing team, #1 school for rowing. We won all the races. We did all the things. There's Olympians on the team. That was the value there. It's I got to meet these wonderful people who were very driven, very focused. And I think the same thing when you study history, it's people who are, very respectful of history and care about what's come before them. So these different environments sort of have different cohorts of people. And so in data science, it's a very different cohort of people. They tend to be, very, I would say, almost rigid and structured in the way that they approached problem sets because, it's binary. Either you get the question right, you get the question wrong. Whereas writing a history paper is very subjective. There can be many correct answers. So I enjoyed both. Math is, I will say, extremely challenging at the London School of Economics. They run a very challenging program. Challenged me immensely. It was actually supposed to be my second undergrad degree, and I wound up walking away from that. I've also noticed here that you have a South African accent. Two of my roommates in school were South African. One was from Johannesburg, one was from Cape Town. So I take no position on which one's better, but I did pick that up immediately. I also got to meet all kinds of different people from around the world.
Well, I grew up in Johannesburg, and then the rest of my family is from Cape Town, and I lived there for many years. So I've got in both cities. And I won't say South Africans are the best, but we are pretty great. So you've had quite an interesting background. And again, I think that to become an Olympic athlete means no girlfriends, no going out and drinking, not terribly much fun, etc. But I have to challenge you on one thing. which is very important. So I'm a lecturer, so I feel very offended because I think all my students come to class just for me, not for the environment and having fun and playing with their friends. So I feel very offended right now. So I think we're going to call the interview to a close now. No. You mentioned you're from Austin, or you are in Austin. I've got to ask, have you been to any Kill Tony shows?
No. So I've been to one comedy show. I don't remember the venue. I don't remember the comedian. It was good and I enjoyed it. But I'm very boring. You got it right. Like when I was an athlete, no drinking, no going out. I don't drink. I don't go out. I don't drink soda. I only drink water. I mean, I'm like as boring as it gets. The most interesting stuff is all the business and the work and so outside of that, oh my gosh. Don't ask me what TV shows I like. I don't own a television. I couldn't tell you what's popular. I mean, as boring as it gets.
Well, go to a Kill Tony show. Make sure you do that while you are in Austin. Now, one last question I want to ask about Sherlock is, what are your plans for 2025? What are your revenue plans? What are your investment plans? What are your growth plans? How are you going to take this business to being something that is going to generate cash money and put you on the map?
Well, the cash money's good, so we're doing really well. It's a very well-funded and well-operated business. A lot of people call us a startup. We take offense to that. We're a company. We're a real business. Okay. We have real revenue. So that's one of the ones that we always laugh. People say, oh, how's the startup? Well, actually, right now it's quite good. We're profitable. The question on our minds is whether or not we're going to raise again. So we took some money. So our real primary backers were backed by Vercel. They supported us through an accelerator program, and Antler Global. They are another international fund. So both of those are pretty strong backers. We have some angel investors too who came in and have supported the business. So from a cash standpoint, the bank is doing well. And then on the revenue side, I think our real plan, our 2025 plan, right? Revenue is kind of like everybody benchmarks on revenue. Our expansion plan is to work more with other firms. So we're talking to a lot of other marketing companies here in the US and in Europe to basically give them access to a team that's really hard to access. Most marketing firms, they can run the tactics pretty well, but they lack on the technical side. And then when they try to get into the technical area, it's really hard to find technical teams that also understand sales and marketing. So our senior software engineers go through training every week on different sales tactics and tools, understanding the why behind it. Our task this week, we do a challenge. It's kind of like a fun little game. And we pose a question to the team of someone has come to Sherlock. Here's a profile in their business and tell us what you would do. The task of the week is there's a director of sales for a biotech company. He comes to us, lays out their sales goals for the year and what they're trying to do and what they've done before, what's good and bad. And then the engineers on the team have to come up with a marketing plan. And they have to basically say, here's how I would help market this company. And I think that's like a very fun thing for firms to enjoy and get value out of. We want to get as quickly as we can to $5 million of annual revenue. So that is our 2025 goal. So we want to hit 5 million. And then kind of a side quest is we're considering there's quite a few small firms that kind of operate in a similar space. And we're hoping that if we do raise money that we could acquire them, partner with them in some more structured manner, and then roll our software tools out to all of the clients collectively. And then we sort of become a much larger, more formidable force in the sales and marketing world.
That's very exciting. So I apologize for calling you a startup earlier, but 10 years for me, you can be an overnight success in 10 years. How's that?
Sure. In the 10 years, it's 10 years of business experience, right? So actually Sherlock as a company has only existed for about 3. So as a business, we're a little, we're still fledgling, but as sales and marketing
then you're
experts,
basically startup. So come on.
We've had, there's 2 years of like, oh gosh, this is like really tough. And then now we've just started to explode as, that's how it goes. So, we're a startup.
So what kind of company, if I can ask sort of what competitor set, so you've migrated from focusing on email. who are you setting your sights on who are you going to kill next? Because you're a competitor, and I want to see again how you're taking your competitive streak and your winning streaks into business. So who is next on the kill list?
This is a very controversial opinion, but our goal is to replace 80% of the sales and marketing force. That's the goal. And I think that opportunity exists with AI. So there's 13 million sales professionals in the United States. We believe a significant portion of those roles will be replaced by artificial intelligence. The way that happens, I cannot say for sure the exact path where we go from here to there. I know this is where we are now. And I know that by utilizing tools from our competitors, from other individuals who have their own systems in place, the best practices of people in artificial intelligence and in sales and marketing will be part of this journey. So really our competition is actually the teams themselves in companies. So we come into companies and a lot of what we're doing is helping those individuals become more effective. And we've seen teams now that we've worked with stop hiring. So that's a fascinating thing, is when you see a team stop hiring, you know that the team has become so much more effective that now they can't continue to hire because there'll be too many people. And internally for us, we've actually totally had to turn down our volume because we had too many meetings. Like we have too many people reaching out to us. So we turned down our own outreach. So I think that there's going to come a point where so many companies have adopted these models, like the salespeople that cold call, they run outreach online, they'll be repurposed to events. And so we are trying to find our way to be involved in events as much as we can. So like, I think event companies are on our radar. It's like a competitor. Like we're not competing yet, but I think in the next 5 years, we will be an event competitor. I think that's where the salespeople, the remote salespeople today will go. They'll become like event salespeople.
I've got some bad news for you, Michael. I think there's going to be another rebrand in your future. Or good, which is quite exciting. This has been fascinating. So we're going to keep a watchful eye on you over the next couple of years. Now, for folks who do want to see what you do and have thought, wait a minute, I could use these guys for my business, where am I going to send folks?
Yes, so there's two websites. One is sherlock.to and one is sherlockgrowth.com. So take your pick. We got two sites. You can go to either. Just click book a demo, and then you will meet with me or Willem from our team. Just that easy.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much. And yeah, like I said, I look forward to seeing your growth, and maybe we'll be using your services one day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sounds like a plan.
I really do appreciate your comments. So why not go and watch this live on YouTube, or go to my website, kuhne.no. That's kuhne.no for more information.